The suspect was on America's Most Wanted, and then that's where SWAT gets activated. The entire restaurant was empty. Negotiator tells us he's going to kill his son.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Shift Fire. I am Jordan, Chris the cop's daughter, and today we are going to be talking about declassified police stories. I am a police officer. I have worked in law enforcement for over 3 years now.
Thanks for coming to this episode of Declassified, where we talk about declassified cop stories, and I think we have a doozy for you. It's actually one I can finally talk about because I retired from my agency where it happened at.
What is this story that you can now talk about and tell to our audience?
It would be a hostage rescue that I was a part of. Now, at that particular time, I wasn't a SWAT commander. I wasn't the assistant team leader. I was just a typical SWAT operator. The suspect was on America's Most Wanted. He ended up in our city. Manuel Benitez is our suspect. Manuel Benitez has a rich history. He was actually a child actor. He was on the original 1970s Battlestar Galactica. He was on Pee-wee's Playhouse. In Long Beach, he murders his baby's mom. And what he does is he takes a dumbbell and smashes her head, killing her. And this is in 2004. He then goes on the run, taking their son, and no one ever sees them again. So now how we get involved. 3 years have since passed. It's now December 23rd, 2008. At that particular time, we still had pagers, and the pager goes off, 911, 911, 911, which tells all SWAT operators that we have some type of emergency happening and to report back to the station. Benitez gets off at the MTA station. Now, the MTA station in our city is the largest bus terminal west of the Mississippi, so a lot of traffic comes into here. It's December 23rd. It's a cold winter day, and his son needed some socks. So they cross the street and they go to a Rite Aid. Manuel Benitez looks like a male, well, he is male, but he looks Caucasian. His son was from a mixed relationship, so he has very strong African-American features. People are in Rite Aid seeing this guy drag this kid through Rite Aid, so it looks like, and they both are very dirty, so it looks like, and the call comes in as a male transient dragging this kid through Rite Aid, which people think he's trying to kidnap. So law enforcement officers respond. When the first officer gets there, he sees Manuel Benitez with the kid and tells him, hey, tries to call him over, and Manuel Benitez immediately pulls a handgun out of his waist and puts it to the kid's head and tells the officer to back off. So you as a police officer, you're probably thinking, what you would do, like, okay, do I take a shot? What happens? Right. They're doing this. Manuel's backing up. The officer's going forward, and they're going by the Rite Aid. They eventually get to a Chinese restaurant called the Taipan, because we call it the Taipan shooting. He barricades himself into a bathroom with his son, and then that's where SWAT gets activated. SWAT has a 45-minute ETA when that pager goes off. Now, obviously, if you're already on duty, we're there immediately, which I was, but we're still waiting for all the operators to show up.
What happens after that? Like, where does that lead to?
Thankfully, that complex was a very small complex. So we were able to get a good containment on it, and there was only two doors. The kitchen door to go out to the alleyway, and the front doors to actually walk into the restaurant. But those were all easily covered. It was like a ton of detectives were there, patrol officers were there, but unfortunately, there was only a handful of SWAT operators. Some of the police officers that were there were on the SWAT team, but they had to go back to the station to grab their gear. At that particular time, myself and 3 other SWAT operators, one being our team assistant team leader, we took a position on the actual bathroom door. So we were literally 3 feet from the bathroom door, which right behind that door was the suspect with his kid.
Was there anyone inside of the restaurant that was also taken hostage?
Everyone evacuated out. I don't know if they evacuated on their own or when patrol got there, they told them to all get out, but the entire restaurant was empty. By the time I got geared up and got to the hallway where we would be posted for hours on end, I think our standoff was roughly at 4 hours. Our CNT team was there. I remember them. They were on their bellies. They were laying low so that they don't get hit by any type of gunfire, and they're negotiating with the suspect, who unfortunately wasn't making any rhyme or reason. He was talking gibberish. He was talking, and what scared us though is he started to talk about going to see God. Apparently that's never a good thing in that world, because that means that they're starting to think about dying, and that's the last thing that you want a hostage taker to be thinking about.
Can you paint the picture of how this hallway and bathroom look to you and how that plays into the situation?
So think of an L shape. That's really all you got to think about, an L shape, and that L shape is the hallway, and it's just a bathroom that you would find in a fast food restaurant, and there's no cover. The walls are paper thin, just drywall. So here's the door. We have 2 operators here, and we have 2 operators right here in this L shape, and they're facing the suspect. And from time to time, the suspect would open the door to see us. He goes, oh, great, the SWAT team's here. So as C&T starts doing their thing, we just stayed quiet. We let C&T keep negotiating with him. Then the information started to come out. We got his name. We found out that he was on the FBI's most wanted list. Just highlighted him recently on America's Most Wanted. So all of these things are coming into play. We're learning the background on him. So all of this information is coming through to us about who we have. His son is approximately 7 to 8 years of age, and we can hear his son crying inside of the restaurant saying he's cold, he's hungry. So negotiations were going on for 4 hours. We're in our gear for 4 hours with our rifles ready to go, all that type of stuff. The SWAT team had to mobilize outside at the command post, and they were just getting ready to switch us out when everything changed.
I remember at home watching this on the news, and me being as young as I was, I didn't understand obviously the gravity of the situation and obviously how, it's impacted you and a lot of the guys' lives that day. But watching it on the news, and especially now as an adult and as an officer, like being able to understand that situation. Can you talk about what happens next?
Negotiations, what we call go south. They just go bad. Our C&T negotiator tells us he's going to kill his son. At that point in time, our assistant team leader, he didn't convey it to us, but he had made the conscious decision that if he opens the door, he's going to take the shot and neutralize the suspect so he can rescue the son. Seconds before that happened, we saw the little boy reach underneath the door, like asking for help. You see little fingers and they get pulled right back real quickly because that was obviously the dad pulling his son back. He comes to the door one last final time, and when he opens the door, our assistant team leader shoots him 3 times in the head. Now you would think it was over, but it's not. The door closes, and unfortunately, the way the door was designed, it was a metal door with a metal frame. The assistant team leader goes to kick the door, but it doesn't give. And I've talked about this in all my videos when I play tactical games, is that we're not supposed to kick doors, and this is one of the very reasons. He kicks the door, it doesn't give way. By the momentum of him kicking the door, he actually falls back and onto the ground. Our breacher, big guy, Jack, big guy, can go through a wall. He kicks the door and it doesn't give way, and he falls back onto our assistant team leader. At that point in time, my partner says, hand me the ram. I hand him the ram. He rams the door open, and when he shoulders the door like he's supposed to, I go in to grab the kid. Unbeknownst to me, Manuel Benitez is in the corner behind the toilet with 3 gunshot wounds in his head, raising his gun and starts firing at us. And now the gun battle's on. We back off, door closes, bullets start flying in and out of the door. Eventually, we're able to get the door open again. We get a flashbang, and one of our other operators goes in and he's able to neutralize Manuel. As I come around the corner, one of my partners grabs the kid, hands me the kid, and I remember thinking to myself, please don't be hit, please don't be hit, as I'm running out of the restaurant with him. And I could feel warm blood on him, and I'm only hoping that it's his dad's blood. And so the kid touches me like this on my cheek as I'm running him out, and he's all like, why did you shoot me? And I'm like, oh my God, he's hit. I get to a safe area, I start triaging him, and then he looks at me, and I call it the trifecta because he looks at me and he says, why did you kill my daddy? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like thinking to myself, this is getting horrible. He has a gunshot wound, unfortunately, to his like right hip area, but he's stable. The fire department medics are coming, so I have him all wrapped up. He's all ready to go. We transfer him onto the gurney, and as I'm literally picking him up and putting him on his gurney, he looks at me and says, today's my birthday. And I'm just like, oh my God, could this get any worse? And I was just like thinking to myself, this poor kid, he got shot. We killed his dad, and it's his birthday, and it's 2 days before Christmas. Those are the things that like weigh on you. His dad was killed, neutralized. I'll give you the funny part to this story. So flashbangs. When you go to flashbang class, they say when you pull the pin, never try to repin a flashbang. It's almost impossible. They say get rid of it, throw it, okay? When we were in this firefight, we needed to get a flashbang into the room to disorientate him. I pulled my flashbang, and I was about to throw it while someone else lobbed a flashbang into the bathroom, so I have a live flashbang. That's literally, if I let go of that spoon, it's gonna blow in 10 seconds. I can't throw it in the next room because it's a kitchen and I'm thinking gas. I literally grab the pin and I straighten it out with my teeth and I shove it back into the hole, which you're not supposed to do. I twist it, I grab my flashbang and I put it back in my pocket, and I turn away from the team and I count to 10 and I do this. And after 10 seconds, I'm like, okay, I'm good. So I have a live flashbang on my chest. We deal with all that part. About 20 minutes later, after we make sure everyone's okay, the fire department, they determined that they could not work up the suspect. I go to my team leader and I said, hey, I have a flashbang on my vest. And he's all like, hey, stupid, we all have flashbangs on our chest. I pulled the pin. And he's all like, you need to come with me right now. The theory is we're supposed to throw it in a bucket of water, hoping that it will saturate it, which we did. But I remember his eyes were just like, you need to come with me. We did some follow-up. I don't know where the kid's at today, but luckily the kid, he ended up being okay. He was returned back to the maternal grandma, so I'm sure he's an adult now, because that was, in 2008. Grandma raised him, and I like to think that, his life's much better, and that justice was brought to his mom. That has been a story that many people have asked me about that I have not been able to talk about, but since now I separated from the police department where I was at, I can now talk about it. So I guess that is truly declassified.
Thanks guys for watching Shift Fire, and as always, if you want more of their content, please go follow them on YouTube and Facebook.
I'm kind of having a teary father moment watching her do that outro, so that's pretty awesome, right? Hey, declassified. Well, I got tons of declassified stories, so you're gonna need to get with Shift Fire and tell them, hey, bring back this guy, because we want to hear more declassified stories. I know, that's just kind of my plug.
We're not dark people, I promise. We try to make light of every situation, so if we laugh at stuff or have humor out of these stories, I think it's more of a coping mechanism. It's how we cope.